I'm really excited for this next speaker that is coming on today, that will be speaking in just a brief moment. I want to, and this is like a dear friend. When I tell you, this is like when you lead with value, you automatically just like connect to people. This particular individual, we connected on social media actually. Jasmine Suazo, simply amazing, has done just amazing things in her work. Currently has a insurance agency, Wealth Academy, and has multiple agents across the entire nation. I mean, talk about a powerhouse, like literally like nationwide organization that her and her husband have been able to build from scratch. Also a podcast really helping women understand their impact, understand that they are more than just being in the corporate space. How do you lead as an entrepreneur and really shake the 9 to 5 and lead with more impact? So without further ado, I want to welcome to the stage the absolutely phenomenal, amazing Jasmine Suazo from Chicago, but is now residing in Atlanta, Georgia, which I'm extremely happy about. Let me bring her to the stage now.
Hi.
As always, how are you?
I am doing amazing. I'm so blessed and so honored and privileged to be here and to serve God's vision and purpose for your life. So today is going to be impactful for sure. I'm sure it's already been impactful.
Yes, and even more now that you're here, right?
Well, thank you so much, my love. Hopefully I can figure out how to like share my, I can. Awesome. So I can
Yeah,
share.
so why don't you can share your screen and you can also add source. So if you add the source, you can see the presentation.
Let's
So,
see.
yep, the big plus sign.
Maybe I see window, entire screen. Maybe I didn't hit the
Exit off
right
of
one.
that.
Okay. Cancel.
Go to the big plus sign.
Oh, got you. Presentations.
Yes.
And then just upload and watch God work is I guess what we're doing, right?
Yes, watch the Lord work. Okay. But yes, as we are waiting for technology, when I tell you, whenever there's impact being made, you can ensure that you will be tested. I'll tell you that some real interesting tech challenges have happened from yesterday up until today, from computers shutting off to people getting kicked out of the
Really?
network. I mean, it's really been insane. But even through all of that, the impact is still being felt globally. So we're super excited for that.
Yeah.
Are you able to upload the presentation?
Yeah, I think it's uploading literally right now. But if you
Okay.
want, I can begin with introducing myself. I want to be respectful of time.
Oh yeah, no problem. So I will
Awesome.
go ahead and let you kind of take over the stage, and I'm just gonna hide myself.
Awesome. Awesome. So, good afternoon. I Am Change Global Conference. What an honor and a privilege to be with you all this afternoon. My name is Jasmine Suazo, and I help women transform their wealth by building a 6-figure business in the life insurance industry. My husband and I are the founders of the Wealth Academy. And I think you guys can see the presentation. Let me know in the chat. Oh, yes, you can see everything. So certainly connect with me on Instagram at A Corporate Dropout, and you're going to hear a lot more about my story and figure out how I came up with that name. But the Wealth Academy is an agency that my husband and I were blessed to build 5 years ago in 2018, fall of 2018. At the time, I was working as the director of communications for one of Chicago's leading nonprofits, and my husband is an engineer by trade. But like so many of you who were told, go to school, get the good grades, graduate high school, go to college, and work your way up the corporate ladder. And then maybe one day an employer will value you enough to pay you 6 figures. If that is you, let me know in the chat box. That was literally the narrative that I grew up in. And 5 years ago, I was honored to fire my boss and step into the role of entrepreneurship and eventually transition into business ownership. And let me tell you, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, whether you are a corporatepreneur, whether you're an intrapreneur or business owner, who assume that as you're making that transition from employee to entrepreneur, that quite naturally you just assume the role of a leader. Well, if it's okay with you guys, I want to talk a little bit about leadership today. So I am going to go to the next slide. This is me. This is me, guys. Literally living on paper what society deems as the American dream. Obviously, not without having my own form of adversity. I became a mom at the age of 17. You see me and my beautiful daughter Ayana in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. And I remember at the time, having so many dreams of post-secondary success. And at the time, I wanted to be an attorney. And I don't know why, but I wanted to have an all-female law firm and have men be the secretaries and janitors. I have no idea why. Okay. Obviously, you cannot, that would be illegal, but that's what I wanted to do. I have always been attracted to ambitious women, women on the move, women with a sincere heart to serve God's people and to give him the glory. And when I became a mom, everyone's aspirations of what they thought I would achieve completely diminished. I literally was told by a high school guidance counselor to trade in any hopes of going to college for a minimum wage job at Walmart. She told me she would no longer meet with me to go over college scholarship applications because I would be blessed and privileged to go to a 2-year vocational school. Well, at that time, she didn't realize it, and maybe you all can relate, but there was a catalyst that each of us go through. There was a turning point. And that conversation was my turning point. She built a fire inside of me where if I'm going to prove you wrong was a person, I was 12 feet tall. You have no idea. I walked out of there, ended up securing my own scholarship, full ride scholarship. I'm a graduate of Howard University. So if we have any HBCU alum, shout out your HBCU in the chat box. I want to know. But that was me. I went on to Howard. I worked on Capitol Hill. I've done some amazing things in corporate America. And I finally, guys, I remember moving back to Chicago from Washington, D.C. And my very first corporate job was paying me $43,000 a year. And I just remember thinking, oh, wow, like I cannot live off of this. I'm going to be poor. And, my mom told me sometimes well-meaning people can give you bad advice. Meaning they mean you well, but they're only giving you advice from their experience. And I remember my mom saying, well, maybe you just need another degree. And so what did I do? I listened to her. I went back and I obtained a master's in public policy, and my salary went up from $43,000 a year to $50,000 a year. I went back to my mom and said, what do I do now? And she said, well, now you got to prove your value to the company. And so I invested 11 years of my life in corporate America to finally amass an annual salary of 6 figures, only to be miserable. In the process, this is me, guys, traveling the country, traveling the world. You see me and my mom, who's my idol, my hero. I love my mom so much. And then you see me starting a nonprofit organization called Generation Moms, where we partnered with high schools and community-based organizations to help teen moms go to college. So that was me on paper, living the American dream. And if we can be honest, as I am change agents, because all of us are change agents, and we, over the next 20 minutes, if you can just have an honest conversation with me about the dreams and hopes that you had for your life when you were a little girl, because we all have them. And by the way, we still have them. You should still be having dreams that kind of scare you a little bit. And so on paper, I looked like I had it all together. I had met my husband at this point, and we were married and blended our families. But internally, I wanted to become a leader. And I wanted to work for myself. And so I fired my boss, and we built a business. And I'm going to tell you toward the end of today's presentation, the result of us making that investment. So today I want to talk to everyone about 10 laws of leadership. We're really going to unpack this word. If you are a John Maxwell fan, and I mean fan like I am, put it into the chat box, because I am a huge John Maxwell fan. 10 laws of leadership. So I want to dive into the very first one. There's 21 though. There's 21 that he has. These are the 10 that mean a great deal to me. Number 1 is the law of the lid. Leadership, your leadership level determines your level of effectiveness. The law of the lid, meaning as a leader, that would mean you have people following you. Whether they are paid employees, whether they are volunteers or interns, you must have a following. And that means the following that you have amassed, their level of success will only grow to the level of your leadership lid. They can never outgrow you as a leader. And so when we as leaders, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as wives, as moms, as community agents, when we refuse to grow our leadership lid, we unintentionally and directly impact and restrict the leadership growth of those following us. So I want to dissect this law of the lid. Let's talk about it. Let me go back. Leadership is the lid for your potential, right? We talked about that. How well you lead will determine how well you succeed. The higher you want to climb, the more you will need leadership. This is important because I think we live in a day and age where leadership and entrepreneurship is truly glorified. You see it on social media. It has become trendy. If ever there was a TikTok dance for starting a business, entering into leadership, guys, it's trendy. Let me tell you, leadership is hard. If you really studied what it required, you may second guess becoming a leader. You have a responsibility to grow your leadership lid. If you don't, you will, again, directly impact how high those following you are able to climb. Whatever you want to accomplish in life is restricted by your level of leadership. Let me repeat that again. You want to be a great mom, restricted by your level of leadership. Incredible wife, restricted by your level of leadership. Servant of Christ, community agent, restricted by your level of leadership. How often do you read leadership books? Attend leadership conferences? Who's holding you accountable to expose blind spots in your business? Your success hand can never go higher than your leadership hand. So I use this analogy with our agents in our business. Imagine this is your income, right? Imagine that where my hand is right now. Hopefully you guys can still see my hand. This is your income. Well, guess what? Your leadership lid, let's say your leadership is below your income. Leadership will always bring down or bring up your income. So whatever level of income you aspire to have, ask yourself, why don't you have it yet? Is it because you haven't grown as a leader? Have you invested the time, the resources, the energy to grow as a leader, right? This is so important, guys, because I have so many people who, and I remember being this person, by the way. Let me have a very transparent moment. I would always want to go to the next level. I wasn't necessarily interested in growing to the next level. There's two types of people, right? Followers go to the next level. They go where the leader guides them. But leaders must grow to the next level. If an organization's success is low, it is because the leadership is low. How well is your business performing? I wouldn't care if it's a virtual assistant, right? How well is the virtual assistant performing? How well is your board of directors, your trustees, your volunteers, the committees that you lead? How well are they performing? Because it is a direct reflection of your leadership lid. When the leadership is good, the team has a good chance at being successful. So let me go to the second law, the law of influence. This is so important. We live in a day and age where influencers, and I mean 6 and 7 figure paid influencers, are deemed leaders. We have become a society, and this is why I wanted to talk about this topic, because I've gone through this very challenging, rewarding, painful journey of becoming a leader. And by the way, I'm still becoming a leader. And I realized that the society measures leadership by how many likes we get on a post, how many people are following us on social media. Well, we're going to talk about the true measure of leadership being influence, and we're going to dissect what influence actually is. So if you don't have influence, you'll never be able to lead others. The person with the most influence at any given time, for any given reason, is the leader. What does this mean? Leadership and influence is fluid, because you may have influence in your area of expertise, but you may need to collaborate with another woman who has influence in her area of expertise. It does not take away from you being a leader in your field. Everyone has their own zone of genius, right? There are times, again, where leadership will shift. There will be areas where you will lead, and there'll be areas where you must follow. This is so important. One of the biggest words that I believe cannot be present in authentic, transformative leadership is ego, because every leader must follow someone. So who are you following? Or do you know everything in your field? Do you know everything about how to manage an effective team? How to scale your business to 8 figures? Leadership is about influencing people to follow. This is the difference between leadership and management, while management is about maintaining systems and processes. You see, managers can maintain direction, but often they cannot change it. Leaders influence the direction of an organization, influence the mission and the vision of an organization, right? Neither IQ, let me see if we can go up here. Being first isn't the same as leading. This is so important. Being first. So many people are like, but I was the first to do this, or I'm the first in my field to do that. I'm the first in my family to do this. Being first is not the same thing as leading. Recognize that leaders influence people to become leaders. This is so important, guys. And I wrote down a couple of other notes. Let me see if I have it here because this is so good. Yeah, neither IQ nor education equates to leadership, right? Because it's not the position that makes the leader, it's the leader that makes the position. The true measurement of leadership is influence. If you are a student of leadership, you will notice other leaders. They stand out. It's like I'm a Christian. So it's like when you operate in the spirit recognizes the spirit. You will notice other leaders. Let me go to the next one. There are 5 levels of leadership. And by the way, they all start with the P. Number 1, and this is the most basic level, is position. Have you ever worked somewhere or ever collaborated with someone who had the title on their business card as CEO or entrepreneur, but they were really just happy to have the position? Right? Meaning they have the responsibilities on paper and the rights of the title, right? They have the responsibilities of a CEO, the responsibility of an entrepreneur, the responsibility of XYZ, but it's merely position. That is all that they're there for, the title. The title validates their existence. And then you have permission leadership. These are relationship-driven leaders. People follow you because they want to, not because they have to. If you're a position-based leader, people tend to only follow and respect you because they have to, but not a permission. You have given people the option. Hey, follow me, because you've built relationships with them, meaning you have created demand or desire for them, right, to follow you. Number 3, production. People follow you because of what you've done for the organization. Right? I follow Jasmine because Jasmine has helped increase our revenue 60% year after year. I follow XYZ. So ask yourself, do people only follow me because of the results for the organization? Have I done anything for them personally? Number 4, people development. This is so important. People development, duplication. People follow you because of what you've done for them personally. Now we're getting to the heart of what leadership truly is. Look at number 4. Look at the difference between number 3 and number 4. Number 3 is what you do for the company, right? Oh, I've done this for the conference. I've done this for the company. I've done this for the community. What have you done for the people? And then number 5, the highest level of leadership that we all aspire to attain is personhood, respect. You've led so well with so many people and for so long that people trust your reputation of leadership. They respect you. Am I out of time, Nicole?
You're almost there. You can finish this slide off because I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Okay, let me keep going. And then we have the law of process. Leadership is developed daily, not in a day. So I want to quickly talk about this. Let me see if I can get out of there. This chat box opened up on me. All right. So we have the law of process, the ability to lead. Number 1, personality always takes shortcuts. Good leadership is always bigger and better than just one person, right? They have built processes and systems that allow for duplication and scale. The ability to lead is usually a collection of skills that nearly all of us can learn or improve upon. This is important. And I'll wrap up here. I remember having a conversation with my mentor about the topic of leadership. And a couple of things he said to me. He said, number 1, Jasmine, leadership is never on sale. You have to pay for it full price. And there's a sequence to leadership, meaning you can learn to become a leader, but you got to learn from somebody who's already an experienced leader, right? and you sit up under them for a period of 3 to 5 years, sometimes even longer, so that they can help you develop the same skills, the same processes to duplicate their style of leadership. Number 3, if you have a lot of talent but never develop it, you will have fewer gifts than those who develop process. So that is the law of process. I think I took up too much time, so I can't get to the rest of the slides. But again, if you want to learn more about the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, I strongly encourage you to become a student of John Maxwell. Was only highlighting 10 of my favorite laws with personal experiences. Guys, leadership is a journey. And the number one test is simply how many new leaders are you currently producing? And that is my time, everybody. So I love to connect with you guys on all social media channels at A Corporate Dropout.
Thank you so much. That was great, Jasmine. Quickly, I'm going to get to one question for you. You've overcome what maybe not many of us, because I can relate to getting pregnant early, but what many people say would be a destiny killer. Right? You've overcome that, and now here you are on the other side of it, making phenomenal accomplishments in your life. How would you say that overcoming obstacles has defined you as a leader?
Yeah, I think it's in order to become an effective leader, for me, 2 things are required. It's wisdom and discernment. And the only way that you gain wisdom and discernment is through experience. It's through adversity. It's through overcoming challenging, difficult times. It's learning that, faith is a fact for leaders. You must operate from a vision point instead of a vantage point. And so for me, there have been many dark times where the only thing I had was my vision. That's the only thing I could rely on. Being a teen mom, I remember, the Wendy's 4 for $4 menu being a gourmet meal for my daughter and I. We didn't have the money to go to fancy restaurants. I only had about $10 in my account, and I had to make it stretch. But I'm so grateful for those moments, because that's when I learned, oh, wow, even when in the midst of very difficult times, in the middle of the storm, you never lose sight of your vision point. Leaders make decisions from their vision point, and followers make decisions based on their vantage point.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so very much. We appreciate